Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with our new guest, Russell Michael Berger. We're here to break down a night's title and everything in between. Russell, welcome to the stream. How are you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely, and I'm really happy to get you on and to break down this fantastic book. But before we dive into it, let's begin with the basics and start with who you are and how you got into writing books.
Oh, well, my name is Russell, which is kind of obvious already. But yeah, I started writing when I was, I want to say it was probably like 12, 13 years old. It was something in school that they pushed out and I fell in love with it. So I started doing that. And I mean, when you write, especially when you're into comics, it's something that immediately starts piquing your interest. And that was always something I was into, was comic books. So that's what really pushed me into it then, especially knowing I could create my own stories, my own worlds, stuff like that. And it just evolved from there and kind of caught on like wildfire. And here we are.
So what was your first publication, would you say, on Amazon?
It was Hereafter Man's Saga was the first one that I did. That's the shortest one I've done too. It's not that long. I think it's like maybe 20 pages, something like that. So that's definitely the first one I did, and then that was followed by Geom.
So what goes into writing a book of this nature? I know you said you really enjoyed doing it, when you first started getting into it, but like when you start putting it on Amazon, what did that look like for your first book? What was kind of like your routine?
Well, first one was very rough in a way because especially when you just start, you don't really have an audience. So when you put it out there, you're kind of putting it out there to no one in a sense, but yet everyone because it's on Amazon. So it was a very, very slow process, especially with the first one. The second one was a little bit better, because you've already started building your audience. And the second one was a sci-fi thriller. So that kind of touches into a certain audience that's kind of really out there right now.
Yeah.
And then, especially with the Knight's Title, which, I mean, doing that, I actually wasn't going to do it, but Amazon had kept pushing the new thing that they put out, which was Kindle Vella, which is these short novella episodes that you can write up to 5,000 words. And in the beginning, I essentially wanted nothing to do with it because I had no idea for it. And I had been working on a Knight's Title for a long time, and I just could not figure out how to make it into an actual book itself. And then I got another email, and I'm like, this might work. And lo and behold, it did work because the story flows better in the episodic formula that Kindle Vella has.
Yeah, and when I was checking it out, the Kindle Vella almost reminds me of kind of like a webtoon, but for like novels.
Yeah, that's, to be honest, that was the first thing that I thought of was it was very similar to that, especially in the episodic formula, and that they allow essentially Kindle Vella is the first 3 episodes are free, and then after that it's you got to buy their coins to read the episodes, but the amount that they are is based off of word count. So
no, that is awesome. We have ASAP Imagination saying, love the cover. That's class. Hey, thank you for joining us. We always love to see you in chat, ASAP. For everyone that is watching, right here is the link. You can check out the Kindle Vella for a Knight's Title and read the first, you said the 3 episodes are free?
First 3 episodes are free, yeah. And then everyone after that is, it's the amount that it costs is based off of word count. So it usually ranges from like maybe 8 to 20 tokens. And tokens they're not that expensive. So it's, in a way, it's actually pretty cheap compared to most things, especially when you buy a physical book.
So right now there's 19 episodes. And then on Monday, the 13th, you're looking at uploading the 20th. How many words per episode can readers expect to find?
Well, with a Knight's Title, I don't think I've gone below 800 words is probably the floor. And then the highest amount, the peak, is 5,000 because 5,000 is what they allow. That's the cap. But yeah, so it's anywhere between 800 and 5,000 words. Most episodes I'd say the average amount is probably about 2,000 word count.
Okay.
So they're kind of quick episodes, but they kind of punch you in the face and get you really hooked. And each episode is a different genre too, which is something I constantly try and let people know. So you can go from romance to horror to political thriller. It it kind of hits you from all angles, but yet the stories all meld into one giant overarching story.
So how do you balance all the different genres and keep that continuity in check when crafting these episodes?
Well, the genres kind of balance out based on the different little arcs that are going on throughout the entire story. So, I mean, if I have like episode 2, that one was a straight up horror thriller. And as that arc continues throughout, each season, it picks back up in season 3. And then season 4, it also picks back up. That will stay the horror genre, that reaches those episodes. And that's how I kind of meld them all together. So, I mean, in real life, you can kind of say that each day is kind of its own little genre.
Okay.
And our lives do continue to make sense as they go across. Well, that's kind of loose. Our lives make sense to a degree, but
I'm
it
still
is
waiting
like
on mine to make sense.
yeah. I mean, at some point it will. At some point, hopefully. But yeah, that's the basics of it. That each art kind of has its own genre, and it works out that way.
So what is A Knight's title about? Can you give us a basic concept of what to expect when diving into this?
Yeah, I mean, the synopsis of it is from one edge of the universe to the other, love, blood, and ruin sends a ragtag group of knights from the backwater planet and a princess of a military empire on a saga to track down archaic weapons of mass destruction. Friendships will be cracked, love found in war, and there lurks a demon from the deep who cannot be contained forever. So the overall, we're following. I always tend to sum it up to people. It's kind of like Firefly meets like comic books with superheroes, but yet it's Star Wars melds in there because we're talking about this massive universe instead of just a galaxy. We're an entire universe. So following this main group, it's these characters you don't especially expect to get together and work together, but it all works out. And the overall arc is that they're looking for these ancient weapons that most people in this universe don't believe exist, but they do.
And all you need is a little bit of a belief to take you the full way. I love that. That's awesome. We have ASAP Imagination. That sounds cooler than an ice cream sandwich. You had me at Firefly. Absolutely. It's such a cool concept. What about some of the protagonists? Who are some of the characters we can expect to meet?
Well, a couple of the main characters, especially one of them is, his name's Theo Walker. He's this character that's kind of really dark in a way, but he's this hero that kind of has been turned into a weapon. And he doesn't want to be the weapon, and that's what we kind of see in that first episode when it launches, how he's kind of revolting against that. And then you have Dax Crow, who is the princess from this military empire, who just kind of essentially, she runs away. She doesn't want to deal with it anymore. And they end up getting together. And then you have Drake Cage, who was a part of Theo's team because they were part of this military unit for what is called the Union, which would have been Earth all made into one government. And you also have his brother Klaus, who is also on the run because in the first episode we do find out that something goes wrong, and it essentially thrusts these characters into this scenario where they're kind of pit against the whole universe. And in a way, they're on the run from it. Some of them are running towards the controversy, and that's ultimately the way it goes. Yeah.
And that's awesome. So at 19 episodes, 20th is dropping on March 13th. Guys, right here is the link to be sure to check this out. You can read the first 3 episodes for free. Yeah. So, I mean, when you're writing all these different episodes, they have different genres. What do you do to put yourself, in that mindset to write these, write these stories? Do you listen to any sort of music or consume any sort of media? Like, what do you try to do to achieve that?
Yeah, I listen to music. People nowadays listen to music all the time, but like, especially when I'm writing, that's pretty much all I'm doing is listening to music. And in general, it's actually just like instrumental, like sort of like trailer theme music, stuff like that. That's more so what I go for. At one point I used to listen to Hans Zimmer a lot.
Oh man, the Inception, that song I used to listen on repeat. They used to do like an hour mix.
Yeah, and then but more recently I found this artist who's called Kings and Creatures, which he does a lot of instrumental music that you would think is like trailer theme music, but he's kind of smaller. But yeah, that's basically what I'm listening to. And he does a lot of they ultimately sound like a lot of different genres when throughout all of the different albums he does. So that comes into play and comes in handy when trying to write a certain genre for the story for each episode.
Yeah, we have Immortal over on YouTube saying time. Yeah, what was it? Interstellar. I think he did the soundtrack for that too, and there was the one song that was really good. That was like the super impactful one. So yeah, no, the instrumentals could be just what you need. It gets you like right in that mindset. That's awesome. So with the 20th episode dropping, in just a few days, how many episodes altogether do you have planned out for this series?
I don't have a cap. I honestly don't. I'm just letting the story go, letting the story tell itself to some degree, because ultimately that's how the best stories are. When the author is writing them, they tend to tell themselves, especially the characters will, tend to tell you who they are. And as of right now, there is no cap on how far it's going to go. But I mean, right now, I have up to season 7 already plotted out. So I know at least to there.
So how many episodes? 35. How many episodes a season?
5. There's 5 episodes a season. Yep. And so with season 7 all plotted out, I have 35 episodes in total so far that are all plotted. Okay,
so that's 15 more to go at least. That's one hell of a buffer, man. Congratulations on that.
Oh yeah, thank you.
So what's next for you in 2023? Are you just focused on a Knight's title, or is there anything else that you have that's coming out soon?
As of right now, it's just focused on a Knight's title. I'm planning a Kickstarter to actually collect Volume 1, which would be Season 1 through 3, with the intermission short episode, Glimpse into the Multiverse, and the 4K milestone episode. It would be collected all in that, along with a exclusive episode written by Stan Konopka, who wrote the hit horror graphic novel We Are the Rejected.
Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations. You have an awesome lineup for 2023. That's going to be fantastic, Russell. That's great to hear. Yeah. So before we let you go, I got to ask you one question in particular. Anytime we have a guest, I always love asking them for a little bit of advice for anyone who might be new that's listening and interested in getting into writing books or any sort of that creative process. So with that being said, for anyone looking to just get started, what would be some of the best advice you could offer to help them kind of in their journey?
Best advice I can tell people is to never let people tell you not to do it. Because, I mean, there was a lot of people who told me that you don't really make money off of it. And granted, I haven't really yet, but, in the long run, especially when you're creating something, you're creating it to essentially make people happy, not only yourself. So I always say if there's just one person who enjoys what I do, that's a win for me. And the quote, ever tried, ever failed, no matter, try again, fail better. That is pretty much my motto when I'm doing this stuff, because you're not always going to hit the mark with everything. You can't in life. And every time you fail, it's just experience for the next time. So that's ultimately what I would tell people.
I love that quote too. You got to keep swinging at it and fail better next time, and eventually you'll get it, and you won't fail anymore. So some awesome advice there, Russell. Thank you for swinging by. Everyone that is watching, right here is the Kindle Vella link to check out A Knight's Title. Be sure to read those first 3 episodes and stay tuned for when episode 20 drops on the 13th. With that being said, it is time for us to wrap up. I hope you all have a fantastic Friday, but most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.